Welcome back to the Barrel Project. All right. So, for those of you that are joining, this is the episode with Alex Wiffler from Wifler Industries. I think you're going to enjoy it. There's a lot of really good information here talking about his string armor product specifically. And obviously, we talk about the MP1 some. Those of you who are subscribing, anyone has joined our Patreon page. By doing that, you automatically get a significant discount code for Wifler Industries. So go check that out. The link will be in the comments here on YouTube and then in the comments of the rest of our podcast platforms. So listen to the audio version. So check out our Patreon page. And once again, as always, thank you so much to our sponsors, AAE, our archery grips, Yoast archery products, and XS wings. So enjoy the show. What I was saying, autocorrect gets me in Messenger all the time. Like, oh, yeah. And it's crazy because autocorrect on like the iPhone will just totally mess up a message.
Oh yeah.
And I constantly am trying to send like even just a minute ago, I was messaging Paul Yager and we were talking about some things. And I tried to say live and it came across love, and it drives me insane all the time.
Yeah.
So let me make sure this live feed is working. Where you guys are from, we have a pretty cool giveaway happening with this live recording with Mr. Alex Wiffler from Wifler Industries. So you should definitely, you have to post in comments and tell us where you're from in order to be entered into the giveaway. So just to give you guys some feedback, the giveaway is going to be 5 bottles of his newly released string armor, which we're going to talk about. This is a primary discussion, what we're going to talk about today. So Mr. Alex Wiffler, how you doing, man?
You know, I'm doing well today. Yeah, I'm doing well. You know, just kind of getting up, getting going, making more stuff, you know. Good day.
Making more stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, before we go too far, those of you who are listening, let me know. I want to make sure my AirPods are working well as they're supposed to be. Sometimes if I turn my head, it acts funny. So if there's any audio issues, please let me know. But yeah, so make sure you guys log in and tell us where you're from, and so we can get you entered. That's all you need to post, is that you're watching and we know that you're watching and where you're from. So Alex Wiffler, friend of mine. Alex has been in the recurve and the compound game, played a little bit in the compound game as a professional shooter as well, and for quite some time. So we are going to talk about string armor, but unfortunately, Alex, I need you to talk about yourself right now and
absolutely
give everybody your history in the sport, because there's quite a few chapters, and those chapters really help you as an industry professional now developing the products you're developing. So let's go down that road.
Oh gosh. Okay, so a brief history of things that I've done. Started shooting when I was 12, took third at nationals about 6 months after, and then just kind of really went from there. I was like, wow, this is what I want to do. I want to shoot archery. I want to be a part of archery. Like, I love this. This is amazing. A few years after that, I was like, wow, want to go to the Olympics. This is going to be great. Through a bunch of cool circumstances, actually went to Korea, trained with Coach Kim for 6 weeks, a little over 6 weeks, which was absolutely a life-changing experience. It was amazing. Got back home, shot for 2 years. Year before the Olympics, I was playing disc golf and broke my middle finger in half. Hard to shoot recurve in a cast. And I was like, oh my gosh, I want to shoot my last junior world. Like, I can't lose out on that. So picked up a compound, made the team. After, I think I was out of a cast for 2 weeks before trials. I was like, this is awesome. Cool. I'm on the team. We go to Canada, I break a world record there. Then we go to China, me and the team break 2 more world records, get 2 silvers there, come back, and I'm like, I'm done with compound. Like, I don't need to do this anymore. It was fun. I was pretty good at it, but I don't need to do this anymore. Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I feel the same way about compound. So I enjoy 3D with a compound. That's about it.
Yeah. I just like archery. You know, it's just I love archery. So I mean, anytime I'm shooting, whether it's compound or recurve, I like. But the funny part about that to me is when we got home from China, I didn't even take my bow out of the case. I was like shooting recurve, like that's it. And the unfortunate thing was I was able to do it for about 8 months, and every single arrow I shot was painful with my finger. And I was like, okay, this probably isn't going to work. And I was 20 at the time. So I sat down and we had a really hard conversation with my mom. Like, what are we doing? Because it was really, I wasn't in a great place at that point, you know, shooting a lot of arrows, working out, driving myself crazy, you know, you know, 10 to 13 hour grind a day, you know, it gets to you. So then I made the choice that I was either going to be a professional archer, I was going to give myself a year to do it, or I was going to go to college. And 3 months later, I won Vegas.
Yep, I remember that.
Yep. And then from there, you know, was on the World Cup team for a year, set a World Cup in China with Steve and Rio. Yeah, it's been cool, you know, won Lancaster. So done some stuff with that. Did Olympic trials for fun, you know.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. So I've had a lot of questions on like, why did you do this? I've never been able to finish one. The very first one that I did was in Texas. That was for 2012. And they started burning stuff halfway through. And I have asthma, had an asthma attack, and went from shooting, you know, the scores I'd been shooting to, you know, barely being able to shoot. So I didn't get to finish that one. The one for 2016, broke my finger a year before it, didn't get to finish that one. I'm like, I just want to finish one Olympic trials. So picked up a recurve and just, you know, tried it.
Yeah. Too funny. You've definitely got some chapters in that book for sure. And then, so what was the birth of Wifler Industries then? And how did that come to fruition for you? And what was your focus?
So there's multiple chapters to how it started. One of the biggest parts for me is I just wanted to try making stuff that I thought there was a void for, or try making stuff better, because I like designing stuff. Like, that's fun. I'm not an engineer, you know, I'm not anything like that. But I wanted to try just making stuff and seeing if, you know, what I could do. The plunger, for instance, I've been working on that for about 6.5 years now. So that's been a very long process. I mean, when I was still shooting recurve, you remember buckyballs? They were everywhere for a while. They were like little magnets that I was playing with those, and I was like, oh my gosh, I wonder if that would work. Like, and that's how that started for me. I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. Yeah. And we just kind of, you know, went from there. I mean, the current iteration of plunger, you know, the pro and bare bow, that is about the 10th iteration, second released iteration. And that's all the stuff that people don't see in the designing and engineering side. That's fun, you know?
Yeah. The MP1 is a nice plunger. I know there's quite a few bare bow shooters out there shooting it right now, and it's nice. There's actually some questions in the comments on the Facebook live feed already, some about the MP1 and some about some other stuff. So we'll get to those at the end for those of you who are watching.
Let's do it.
Huh?
I'll pick a random one real quick. Let's do one.
All right, we can take a random one. I'll take a random one from my buddy Matt Durker. Matt and we actually stayed in the house together, nationals last year, me, him, and Demmer and Dillinger. And I guess he's using one. I don't know if he's using one, but he asked about a smaller nut on the MP1. I guess so it doesn't make contact with one of the. So he was wondering, is there going to be one in design or one available if you need one?
Eventually, yes.
Okay.
So the workaround that we found for that is if you use a straight, I think it's called a cap nut instead of the rounded one, it works.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the workaround that we have right now.
Yeah.
I know for every rest, the nut is a little bit too big, or it could be hollow, or there's
Yeah.
10 different things on it. But for what right now, no. Eventually, yes, I'm sure. But for right now, no.
Yeah. That's just you know, I mean, like I said, there's growing pains in any industry world, which is kind of one of the reasons that we've connected, and in regards to, like, I am a huge fan of the entrepreneurial spirit, the people who are trying to make a difference. They're doing it in a way that they know, and it doesn't hurt that you try to make some money, God forbid, trying to be innovative. And I like to support that notion, because that the entrepreneurial side of things drives the archery industry in some ways, and so does the consumer. So, like, you know, when you have people that are out there creating things and doing things to make the industry better as best they can, you got to support that. You have to appreciate that. And I ask all of you that listen to this, those of you who are watching on the live feed, you know, understand that that's the goal behind everybody's. You know, I can empathize with you about wanting to shoot more archery and be more of a competitor. I have come to find, as much as I love it and do it, there's still a void of information when it comes to barebow and providing it. And that's where the barebow project came into play. And then on the coaching side as well. And that's where my niche has definitely developed. I love competing.
A big thing for me was with, you know, starting Wifler Industries is you can't win forever.
No,
you can't,
unless you're Demmer.
Yeah.
The guy's he's literally timeless, but that's a whole other discussion. I wish he was here.
Making a living at archery.
No.
You know, I mean, you know, even that. And I want to just be a part of archery. That's what I want to do.
Right.
I mean,
same.
I can think of maybe 5 archers that are just shooting, and those people fluctuate.
Yeah.
You know, you can't win consistently forever. You can't.
We had this discussion at S3DA 3D Nationals, where we're talking about there's 1% of the archery industry who actually lives off of shooting archery. It's a very small number. And in barebow, it's not a number that even exists. So, you know, you have to understand, like, you have to find your niche in the industry, and you've definitely found yours with what you were doing. And so let's take that as a segue into talking about string armor, because you were like, hey, I got to show you something. And it was like I'm not gonna lie, people, it was sort of a shady introduction. It was like, yeah, I got to show you something. Where do you see this? I'm like, what in the world is he gonna do?
I got a brown paper bag. You want to see something cool?
You want to see something cool? I was like, oh god, here we go. This is out.
It's like, hey, I got the stuff. I got the goods.
You got the goods. I'm like, all right, show me. But then you whipped out your cell phone and you showed me the video, which I'm gonna put a copy of that in this, like, right around this point. After we get into the discussion, I'm going to put a copy of, like, the video we just posted on Instagram, that I had reposted on Instagram about string armor. And I'm not going to lie, dude, my first response was like, there's other things in the industry that have done this or tried to do this. It's not something, and then we got into the nuts and bolts of why you took this route and what changes you made and what it is. So let's talk about string armor. Give us the nitty gritty, and tell us, like, what it is and how you developed it and why.
So I'll be honest, I didn't want to develop this. This was not something that I was like, oh, this is going to be a crusade. And then it turned out to be a crusade, because I was working on a different product. And I was like, I have to get X, Y, and Z done. And then I found this stuff and I went down the rabbit hole. Like 3 hours later, I'm looking up how to waterproof a string. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And my, like, ADD way got the better of me. And this was like a full week of just Googling and searching and all of this other stuff. And then I started ordering stuff. I'm like, I wonder if this will work. 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 None of the stuff I ever ordered worked. So then I contacted a friend who was a chemical engineer, and he goes, "What are you trying to do?" I'm like, "Well, I want to waterproof a string." I said, "Because now that I'm down the rabbit hole, I really do hate wax." He goes, "I gotcha." So then from there, we started working together, trying a bunch of different formulas of all of this stuff. And then it was about 30 different attempts into it, 8 months.
Wow.
And yeah, it was, it was a lot of work, but that's, that's what it takes. And the last one I tried, I was like, I'm kind of giving up on this. Like nothing is working. I'm kind of done. Last one I tried, put it on the string. It dried in 10 seconds. And I was like, okay, we'll try it, whatever. Put some stuff on it, instantly came off. And I was like, light bulb. I was like, wow, that worked perfectly. Because up until then, everything was a complete failure. It either didn't waterproof the amount of issues, like I won't even get into that. Like there was just so much. And the last one I tried, it was just boom. So
what's the life expectancy of a recurve string, and then also go into how long it lasts and how many applications you get out of a bottle?
So generally speaking, you get about, depending on how much you cover it and how liberal you are with it, about 3 sets of compound strings. So obviously more recurve sets. I would probably say 6 sets of recurve, give or take, last for about 5 to 6 months with one application, which
That's
is
incredible.
just amazing to me. I mean, I was hoping for one tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 5 or 6 months. That's crazy to me. Yeah. What was the other question? I forgot.
I think it was how many applications. You sort of answered it, and then how long will it last on the strings themselves? So, you gave that indicator already. Do you have a bottle there? We talked about it.
Do.
Can you show everyone?
We actually just changed the bottles a little bit, and this is the one with the typo. So please, be kind on that.
Yeah, that's all right. Yeah, so it's a small bottle, easy to carry in your quiver, and 5 to 6 months on that is real a long time.
Oh yeah.
I guess where I don't wax my string ever at all. I usually go through the string and it's done before and life expectancy of the string. Do you feel, so there's people using this product right now who happen to be competing. Who would that be?
So
whoever you're prepared to, know.
So I'll just tell you a few of the people that I've had tested. Okay. So I have a few people in Chula Vista who have tested it. Actually, here, let me tell you the craziest result that we got. So this one, because I knew there would be a lot of change, depending on rain, not rain. I just didn't realize how much. That was kind of a big one for me. So I sent it to a few of the recurve shooters that I have, shot in crazy pouring down rain. I told them, hey, don't move your sight. I need to have like an A/B test on this. Like, cool, no problem. Low 5 line, which I'm like, okay, it's about what you would expect in the rain. I get it. Went out a different time, and this was after a month of having it sit on their string too. So this wasn't like just sprayed it on. This was after they had shot with it for a month, and these are people who are shooting 300 arrows plus a day. So it's been tested a lot with that. Put it on their bow, shot low 9, which that to me is just way more of a result than I expected. I was expecting ring or 2, help a little bit, maybe from a 5 to and 7, 8 line, but no, low 9. And that was with 3 different people that had the same result too.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And if those of you who shoot barebow who haven't shot in the rain, or specifically like really hard rain, your point on changes dramatically.
Oh, crazy.
Especially in a hard rain. Now, if it's just a light mist or something, it might not change too much, but eventually over time, your string's going to collect some water, and it's going to have an effect of some kind. If it's not feasible to, or let me back up or retract that. If it is feasible for you to treat your string with this, and you don't see the water will not collect on the string, your point on is not going to change as much as your competitor, is really what it comes down to. If I'm able to aim in the middle normally, and I'm only have to aim top of the gold or top of the 8, as opposed to aiming at the top of the target.
That's even a psychological advantage.
Absolutely.
I know for me, when I'm in competitions, you know, yes, you get used to it. You aim wherever you need to, but there is that little bit that's going, oh, wow, I have to aim in the blue. Okay. And then the wind stops, whatever, but only having to aim, you know, 4 inches high instead of a foot. I mean, that's a huge, huge thing.
Although most people don't aim long enough in barebow to even recognize that it's 4 inches, but you know, it's still the idea, like you do see a significant change. And if you watch slow motion videos of recurve strings that have water on them, you can see that just the moisture and the drops, you know, it's crazy. And you know, watching this, I remember we did a podcast in the very beginning, and Grayson had just shot a tournament in the rain down there in Virginia. And he shot he was shooting real well, and the rain just like started coming down. And you know how it is in a tournament, like you may go up and you have clear skies, or at least it's overcast but no rain, and then the next end you go up, you get the 1 6-arrow end with a torrential downpour, and your competitors don't. Like that stuff happens. And Grayson stepped up and shot, and he was shot a group like this at 50 meters in like the 4 ring.
Yep.
And you know, and even that stroke, I'm sure that string maybe had some wax, or at least like, you know, factory wax or whatever on it. And that was just from the water on the string, and maybe whatever water happened to have gotten on the arrows at that point. So, you know, the speed with which you're going to then retain, even with a little bit of water, is a significant increase.
Oh yeah.
That's really, you know.
Tried it on compound too. So he shot a field round with it and said, instead of having to take for the rain that he was shooting in, which wasn't like a torrential downpour, but it was a steady rain. He said he normally would have had to take out about 1.5 yards ish. He only had to take out a 1/2 yard.
Awesome.
Like,
so does it weigh down the string at all?
Yeah, absolutely.
No. The string armor, does that add any weight to it? Okay.
Yes. So when I weighed it before and after, it on a 72-inch string coating the whole thing, it was like 1 grain.
Okay, not bad.
So I've had 10 different people tested at 70 meters, like shoot a group, spray down their stuff, shoot a group, and they didn't even have to move their sight. So it does technically weigh it down because you're adding something to it. Enough to matter? Nah, not really.
Not so much. So it slows it down. That weight slows it down that little tiny bit. It's not enough to make much of a difference at all.
Maybe 1/10 of a foot per second.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, I mean,
that's good.
Maybe.
Yeah. So, and who we started talking about it, who do you have that's shooting it right now? I know there's some people that are across seas right now that are shooting it.
Yes. I've had my French dude. He's been awesome. The bear. Do you see that video from World Archery? That was awesome.
No, I did not.
So when the French, I'll send it to you later. It's okay. When the French team qualified, he came out and was like, and then they put a bear. It's okay. So he's been testing it for me. Bryony from England, she's been testing it for me, and also the Spanish team. Which, I mean, I guess it's probably okay to say, but the first tournament that they were at with a World Cup, it was raining, sprayed down their stuff with it, and actually set a national record with it.
Wow.
And they were like, so we don't have to aim off as much, and it's raining. And we talked to our competitors, and they're like, so where are you guys aiming? They're like, oh, we just put like clicks in, and we're aiming like 7 or 8. They're like, not aiming off that much. So, you know, it's cool hearing that, because you can do as much static data as you want, you know, test the feet per second difference, shooting controlled things. But until you get out to a tournament and actually see what it's doing with people, it's all just kind of data points instead of like facts with it. So it's cool to have people try it in real world situations, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And where is this available right now besides your website? Is it available just through Wifler Industries, or is there anywhere else?
Lancaster also has it too.
Okay, so you can order it from wiflerindustries.com, I think it is. And then like Archery Supply, obviously, which is exciting. And you can also get the MP1 plunger from both of those entities as well. For those who are patrons, and we're not closing the discussion, but there's some questions in the comments. There's some, so the Patreon supporters for the Barebow Project, you guys have a significant discount code on your Patreon page, so go check that out. For those of you who are watching who are not on our Patreon page, it's literally just you supporting the Barebow Project, and you get exclusive opportunities. You get to if you're available, and you can log into the podcast live prior to recording and chat with our guests. You get discounts, significant discounts. You get all kinds of things, plus free apparel and stuff like that. So I can sit like that will be in the description of this on YouTube. So you guys check that out. Likewise, the people who are commenting or asking why had some questions like, why are you putting your name and location? Your people who are commenting are entering to win one of 5 free bottles of string armor that Alex is going to send out to you as we pick them as we close down the podcast. You are viewing live, you will get a chance to enter to win one of those bottles, and it will be sent to you from Wifler Industries. So I am excited. I have it on my bow. I shot deliberately in the rain the other day. It wasn't raining a lot. It was barely. So I honestly didn't see any effect whatsoever. It was just like, like one of those annoying misting rains.
That kind of misting where it's just enough to get you right and it annoys you. Yeah.
Yeah, your tab like gets a little bit moist and stuff. But I mean, I do. Oh, you know what? That's what we need to talk about. The tab.
So that is something I've been testing. So it does actually keep water off of your tab. I had one person said it made it a little slick. One person didn't. A few other people have tried it. So that one I'm still kind of in the beta phase on. So try that at your own risk.
Yeah.
But yes, it does keep water off of it. I just don't know the rest of the stuff with it.
Sure. Yeah. Oh, that's okay. But it's like I have multiple use tabs.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to, and I haven't tried it yet. I am going to spray this is my competition tab. I have an identical one. I have to find, I think it's in the bottom of my release pouch. And I think I'm going to spray that one down and try it and see if it changes the dynamic. Now, again, barebow shooters, like I personally have a really deep hook for barebow. So behind the first joint of the index finger. So I don't think a slick tab was going to help. Actually, it might even hurt. I think it's going to help. So I'll play with that some of my own and see how that works. But if we can get some kind of, as we test that, or if any of the followers who happen to go buy string armor or decide to go and you win it and you try it on your tab, let Alex know the results to add that sort of to the discussion, because that can be significant. I know that going to nationals with a 2 tabs, a pouch. I know Demer uses like a bag and puts like towels in it and stuff.
It's like a talcum powder and stuff. Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if he uses that, but just to keep like rotating tabs and keep them dry the whole time, it seems to work well. So I don't know. It'd be nice to not have to do all that work. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, we've all been there shooting in the rain, and then it just feels, and then just once it's wet, it just doesn't feel the same.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's cool. I think it's cool. I like the fact that you are trying to be somewhat innovative, and not that, again, we've had string wax for decades. It's not like it's not a new thing, but if you're using it and it's working and it helps, then so be it. You know what I mean? That's the goal. Let me see if there's any questions quick before we
well, this doesn't have any wax in either. I just want to clarify on that.
Oh yeah, there was a question from Neil Frown. He said, does it help with fraying of the string at all?
Yeah, it does actually. To what extent, I can't give you a specific, this is how much it helps, but it definitely does help with the fraying of it.
Yeah. So that explains it to Neil. I guess he can't go into details about like what's in it, but it does help. So I answers his question. I think that was the only other question I had, or we had in this one. I've never really done a product oriented podcast before.
Yeah.
We've sort of not steered away from them. You're not a sponsor or anything like that of the podcast, but there's a lot of people that you are supporting Barebow, and have been supporting. Like I know, like a lot of like Dwayne and some other people are shooting your plunger. John Dillinger is shooting your plunger, and I think it's cool that you're expanding upon that. So,
Well, I just felt like Barebows were kind of like the redheaded stepchildren, and that's how they were treated, and it kind of bothered
yeah,
me.
there's some
To
truth
be
to
honest.
that.
I mean, it kind of bothered me. It's like, wow. So when I was talking to Dillinger and Demmer at Vegas 2 years ago now, because I showed them the original MP1, they're like, well, we'd like that, but it needs to have clicks. It needs to have this. They listed off like 7 different things. And I was like, wait. So the plungers that you're using, you have to modify to get them to work. They're like, well, yeah. And I was like, it blew my mind. I mean, Dillinger and Demmer, they're like Barebow gods at this point. I mean, and they're getting equipment and it's not made for them. And I was like, okay. So that's when I started working on it. It was literally 2 days after Vegas.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Backstory to the development of it. Yeah, Dillinger
I wanted
swears
to do
by
something
it.
that wasn't. I wanted to do something that wasn't like, oh well, it's an Olympic style recurve, but you can use it for Barebow.
Sure.
I wanted to do something that like, no, this is a Barebow plunger. Here you go.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it can be used for both, but I mean, there's
no.
And as we said, you have growing pains with everything in archery. Anything that's new, anything that's different, and people try not to get too twisted up about it. It is what it is. Just stay the course, continue to develop, try to make things better, and provide information to people. And that's really what this is. This is us providing a thing that could be an advantage. It's a short podcast. It's not as developed, and we're not talking strategy and all that stuff, which we do a lot of. This is just a change of pace because I don't typically do product oriented, but we talked and it was cool. The video, if you go on our Instagram page, you go on Alex's, the video is sort of a tall tale. Here, this is what it does. So it's not, you make the decision what you want to use. But it's pretty cool. And I know that you put a lot of time and hard work into it. And I think we all can appreciate that. So wanted to talk to you about it.
I appreciate it. The thing that I kind of like about it is it's not, oh, do I need to do this? Because I know there's a lot of times, and I'm, not downplaying any other product or anything, but it would be right before a tournament, like, oh, is it going to rain tomorrow or not? So I'd put a little bit of wax in my bow, and then I'd have to change, my sight, change this, and then it wouldn't rain. I'd be like, okay, whatever. Or then I wouldn't do that, and then it would rain. Where this sprayed on like 3 tournaments before, and then you're still good. It's not a, oh, do I have to do this? Anything like that. Just talking about like the strategy part of it.
Yeah. There's a couple questions before we sort of start closing this thing out. There's a comment. Has it been tried on angel string material?
Yeah. It has.
Comment from Paul Yager. I know they don't want wax on that, so if it works on angel material, that might help some people. Yes, Shaz, you said about 6 strings, roughly 6 applications.
Yeah.
And he also asked, can it be used on Fast Flight Dacron, BCY, X99 and such?
Yep.
So there's no limit to what it can be used on. Okay.
Serving material, string, all of it.
All of it. Yeah. Cool. Maybe.
And the cool thing is that it can be worked on serving material too, because that's where a lot of the water gets stored.
Really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've done the research, so I would trust that what you're saying is accurate. I can honestly say I've never dipped strings in water and weighed them or did any of that stuff.
Yeah,
so.
I've totally never done that either.
Yeah. Neil said, when do you know, or how do you know when to reapply? Neil, I don't know. I'm gonna guess it depends on how exposed it gets, but it said it lasts 5 to 6 months. So
So what I would do is after you apply it, just leave it. And then if you're like, oh, do I need to just do a little touch up like this spot or whatever, take a little
yeah.
bit of water, drop it on it. And if it's not just beating off like it should, just do a
Mhm.
little bit of a touch up. I mean, it doesn't have to be like, oh, I have to completely soak the whole thing again, but just give that area or whatever just a little bit of a touch up.
Sure. Which I guess that does make it very different from some of the other applications. You don't typically put wax on a serving, and you're going to add a significant amount of weight when you
Oh, yeah.
do add wax on. So, all right, man. Well, it was good. I mean, it's nice to get it short and sweet too, because we didn't have to go into like too crazy a detail. We were running late, everyone. Sorry. I mean, it's the struggle
That
with
was
the
100% my
live
fault, guys.
stuff.
I'm sorry about that.
It's all good. It's all good. But watch for this podcast to be uploaded, the audio version, and on YouTube, and you guys will be able to watch it there, watch it back, and then after we end the live feed, I'll get with Alex. He can pick the winners of the 5 bottles, and he can ship them off to you, and it'll be kind of cool. Guys, try it out. Give Alex the feedback. Give him, what you think about it. We go from there. So thanks for joining me, man. I appreciate it. Where can people follow you and Wifler Industries?
Facebook, Instagram, all the normal places. Just Wiffler Industries if you want that, or Alex Wiffler if you want the other stuff.
All right. Outstanding. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for watching, everyone. We'll catch up with you later, and you guys can watch this later on YouTube. Peace out. All right.